Hey folks, it's been a while. I did bring my laptop to Gen Con, hoping to be able to, on the evenings do some RPG a day, but didn't happen. Um, so I'm going to throw a handful together. So we're looking at RPG a day 17, 18, 19, 20, and 21. So we'll throw the rest of them all in together. So the first one, I'm going to keep my glasses on, is which RPG have you owned the longest but never played? And for me, that's Lands of Adventure, fancy role-playing game designed by Lee Gold. No longer in print, by the way. Published initially by, who are these guys? Fantasy Games Unlimited, I think it is. I did try to look up their site to see if they still produced anything to go along with that, and nothing. As I've mentioned probably many times, my go-to systems are RuneQuest and the Fantasy Trip. So I'll have a few other game systems. Generally, I use those for rules or ideas on making modifications. For example, Lands of Adventure, I specifically used their Miracles system for my Fantasy Trip Priest skill class. Well, Priest skill is not a class. But if the skill is a priest, you have opportunities of interacting with your deity and miracles can occur. And since Fantasy Trip doesn't have a miracle type system built into it, it works. So that's what I did. I stole miracles from Lands of Adventure for my Fantasy Trip campaigns. Oh, day 18. Which RPG have you played the most in my life? Well, I started out with Advanced Dungeons and Dragons. I played a lot of that and some modified versions of Advanced Dungeons and Dragons all through college, from junior high through college. Also in there towards the end, we got into Harn Master. Also in my college years and some high school, the Fantasy Trip and RuneQuest. So it's almost a smidge of that, but if I had to pick just one, it would be Advanced Dungeons and Dragons or some derivative, not version thereof. Because we always played AD&D. We never really got, well, my friends and I eventually got to 3.5, I think it was, we were playing on occasion. But that was more one-shot stuff when I'm back in the States. But as an on-running campaign, playing, in depth with a group, like I said, we tweak stuff. So it was some modified version of Advanced Dungeons and Dragons. Which RPG features the best writing? Again, I really don't do a lot of different systems and games and stuff. Maybe that's unfortunate for me. So I don't really feel qualified to really make a comment about that. I will say, obviously, though, that most later editions stuff is obviously written more clearly, better produced, greater reviewing, that kind of thing. So newer stuff generally has better writing than older stuff, but not always. Again, I don't feel qualified to answer that question. What is the best source for out-of-print games? Noble Knights, hands down. I'll put a link to it on this somewhere. That's where I've gotten everything that I've gotten from out of print. I got my Stormbringer because I had the original, 1.5-inch box when it first came out. That got lost somewhere. So when I was getting back into gaming and stuff, and I really love the way they treat demons and elementals and stuff, especially when you make items out of them. I need to get that back. So I went to Noble Knights, and sure enough, I got one. It was the inch deep box this time, but still the 3 books, not the combined all in one. Although I did eventually buy Elric, and I have to admit I was disappointed with that version. But Noble Knights with a K, that's the place. Okay, for the 21st, for today, what game does the least amount of words? Thankfully, I get to go back to one of my favorites, the Fantasy Trip. With the Fantasy Trip, you have a complete combat system to include special weapon creation, a complete magic system to include not just a spell list, but magical rules. They've got this rule of 5 that they use, and iron, silver, and magic, and how to make scrolls, and how spell books work, and an entire section on creating magic items, plus an entire section on creating magic potions or alchemical potions, and then there's a player's handbook, a DM's guide, and a monster manual. All that stuff wrapped up in 131 pages. Like to see somebody beat that. Although, one-page bulge, Battle of the Bulge, with 1 page of rules, probably comes pretty close. I kept going back, pulling my glasses off because I get too much glare when I wear my glasses from the screen. So maybe I'll find some way to do that. But if I just do one day at a time, I won't have much of an issue trying to remember what my question is. But there it is for the duration of Gen Con. RPG of a day, 17 through 21. Y'all have a good one.